that metal interview.
Greetings all the way from the state of Texas in the Eagle of Pass, Texas. Eagle Pass, Texas is where we held our podcast from, that metal interview podcast. And we have another special guest with us, Chips ENUFF of ENUFF Z'NUFF. Of course, a band from the late 80s. I don't want to say mid 80s because ENUFF Z'NUFF. Well, it depends who you ask and when you start counting. So anyways, ENUFF Z'NUFF from the late 80s, 90s, and they're still active to this point. Mr. Chips ENUFF is now taking over the lead vocals, and he's still the bass player, as Donnie V is not in the band anymore for years now, although Donnie has collaborated in a couple of songs with the band ENUFF Z'NUFF. Actually, ENUFF Z'NUFF have a new album right now. They have a brand new album by the name of ENUFF Z'NUFF'S HARDROCK NITE. And what that is a covers album, a Beatles covers album, and also a post-Beatles release jams, if you will. Post-Beatles songs also are included. For example, some Paul McCartney, Lennon stuff post-Beatles after they broke up. But you guys should check it out, man, for real. Very, very cool album. ENUFF Z'NUFF'S. That's a tongue twister right there. ENUFF Z'NUFF'S HARDROCK NITE. Eleanor Rigby, Live and Let Die, Dear Prudence, Helter Skelter, Revolution back in the USSR, with a little help from my friends. Anyway, so before we go on, let's check out a jam from this album by the name of Jet. Let's check out the song and video Jet, and we'll be right back with Chips ENUFF interview.
I can almost remember the fun
awesome job of covering McCartney by Chip and the Boys. Jet, a song that you guys already know if you're Beatles fans and McCartney fans. So anyways, awesome stuff. Congrats to Chip and all the guys, all the boys in the band. So, okay, let's go to the interview. Enough talking, and here it is, our interview with Chip Z'NUFF of ENUFF Z'NUFF. Enjoy. Big fan, of course. You're just a busy person, man. I mean, I'm not sure where to start. So
I appreciate you understanding that these are unprecedented waters that we're navigating now.
Right. I completely.
A lot of work. You got to take advantage of it. Right. Anytime, especially a guy my age that can still make records and go out and people want to talk to him, that's a blessing, bro.
Right.
It's a gift.
I mean, you're still young compared to Mick Jagger, or you're young. But I understand.
Those guys are older than Moose Pussy. If I can make it that long, it'd be a miracle. Because let's face it, most guys my age are retired. They were retired 10 years, 15, 20 years ago.
Exactly. So you got ENUFF Z'NUFF'S Hard Rock Night coming out November 12th. Also, you already have out rarities and demos, 40 songs. Which one are you promoting? Both and all?
Yeah, but I'm promoting the brand ENUFF Z'NUFF.
Yeah.
That's the stuff right there.
Exactly.
I mean, Rolling Stones, the Beatles, all the old bands, they're pushing records that were out 50 years ago. So what's the difference here?
Right.
To me, it's new records. The Cleopatra release, which is the rarities one of the 40 songs, that was never supposed to see the light of day. That it's just I've saved all the demos, everything we've recorded throughout the years. Yeah. I've saved every single thing that we've recorded.
Really?
And when Brian Pereira at Cleopatra approached me and said, we're looking for an unreleased record of material you have. I said, well, I'm already on Frontiers Records with all the new material. He says, he goes, I'm interested in anything that you have that's been unreleased, that's old, and that would be considered a gold mine to me. And I said, how about if I just get you some material and see what you think of a couple songs? And after conversing with Donnie, we sent the label a few songs. They loved it, and they said, move forward. And I went through all my DAT tapes and found that material. And it was nice to get it out there because we never anticipated putting those songs out there, because songs are like embryos. They're like your firstborn. You want to cherish them beyond belief. And if they're not right, you want to hold back a little bit before you introduce them to the world. It's very, very tricky in a lot of ways. You don't just throw them. Maybe other artists might throw them out there. I wasn't about to do that. But when we listened to the record, there was a good energy that was happening there. When we recorded those records, we were in apartments with no electricity.
Really?
We found ourselves in positions where, we'd go down to the local drug dealer and grab a little bit of pot and get high, and then go back in the studio with a drum machine and record them, and then we would go back in and maybe I'd put real drums on them. But for the most part, it was just two guys with a dream. Yeah. And to be able to take those songs and put them out there in this day and age, the fans have spoken. They love the material. That box set's put together beautifully, Paul.
Awesome.
Atkin, Rolling Stones photographer, did all the artwork on it, along with Patty Glasscott. I think it's a great job. I'm really I'm surprised at what a wonderful package it is. And the liner notes are pretty good, too. Not to take any credit or be immodest, but I think I put together a nice little package right there for the fans. And that's what it's for, basically, at the end of the day. It's not a Brinks truck full of money, okay? We're not going crazy. But it certainly helped us at a time during this whole shutdown where we were able to move forward as artists and continue to do what we do, which is make records and go out and play shows. And then as far as the new record that's out there, the Frontiers release, which is called Hard Rock Night, that's just a reinterpretation of Beatles songs. We've been playing the Beatles songs for 40 years. Yeah. It just came into fruition really on accident, where my agent, Chuck over at Artists Worldwide, called me and said, hey, this other agent wants to meet you. He's putting together a tour, and he thought you'd be interested in perhaps fronting it. And I said, oh, that's a tough one. I go, who's in the band? He says, Paul Gilbert from Mr. Big.
Wow.
Gilby Clarke from Guns N' Roses. Maybe we'll get Mike Portnoy, who who had just coincidentally happens to be my cousin playing drums.
Really? Oh, wow.
And I would sing on this stuff. I said, man, I'm totally into something like that. And then as time moved forward, that never came to fruition. And I just said to myself, we should put together a Beatle record. So it's one of the biggest bands in the country. We've always loved their songs. I looked through the history of all the groups that were out there. No band has ever done a whole Beatle record that I know of. There's bands out there that have covered Beatles songs like Stone Temple Pilots or Styx or perhaps Cheap Trick. But no one's done a whole Beatle record because it's almost like taboo. But the journalists have always bumped us in with the Beatles because of our sound. And maybe that was a problem in the early days because it was hard. We came out in the late 80s and a lot of people didn't understand how to actually, what you're going to call our music. We weren't metal. We weren't hard rock. We weren't just pop. We were a combination of all the stuff in today's day and age what we call alternative. We were alternative before alternative, okay? And it just so happens that here we are now, all these years later, we do a Beatle record, go in the studio, all of us, Mark Stockbridge, Daniel Benjamin Hill, Tony Fennell, ex-center of Ultravox, and we start bashing out this record at the studio here in Blue Island. Then we went over to Massachusetts to T-Rex studio and did some guitar overdubs. And Tor came at the last minute and put together the flourishing touches on his beautiful rendition of George Harrison guitar playing. And we had something that was magical. And before, when it was all said and done, James, we ended up going over to Chris Diamond's over at Stonecutter Studio. And a lot of bands have been over there from Megadeth to Fall Out Boy. We thought, man, it'd be a good studio to mix this record. Chris Simon's the engineer. He did Kiss Revenge. He also worked with Alice Cooper, White Line, and Styx, and all the different Chicago bands that were out here. And he was the guy that said, give me a crack at this one. Let me see what I can do. And boy, those mixes, you got those old Leslie guitars, and you got the plays and the voices, and it's not a lot of overdubs, but it sounds like a big orchestra of cats playing music. And we're going to be able to do this live, and it's going to be absolutely fabulous. People are going to be blown away to hear these Beatles songs done in a whole different way. The arrangements are pretty close to the way they were. Then they got the harmonies and stuff on there. We'll never be able to match and capture that magic that McCartney, Lennon, Ringo, and George come up with, but we certainly can pay respect to them, and I think that's what we've done on this record. And it just happens to come out in a couple weeks. We've been waiting for months to put this record out. We turned it into Frontiers in March of this year. And now we finally found an open window, and I thank Frontiers for giving us the opportunity to put this record out because we plan on touring on this album next year.
Awesome. I can't wait to see that and hear that. Wow. Beatles, we're all Beatles fans for sure, right? So you also have a solo record coming out, as I understand, Perfectly Imperfect?
That's the title of it right now. I couldn't think of a better title. That's exactly what it is. It's a bashed out. It's basically my heroin love letter to the new generation.
Wow.
I wasn't writing songs for radio. Radio won't play it unless you go over to Monsters of Rock on the Dash Radio Network. I'm sure they'll play a track off it. But for the most part, it's just a real rock record of 10 songs, and it's just navigating what's going on in the United States and around the country. Every single song, you listen to the words, and they'll take you somewhere. I never like to tell fans or the music listener what the songs are about. I'd rather leave that interpretation up to them because what it might mean to one person, it means something to another. I just know that it's a great rock record, and anytime you can get guys like Joe Hoekstra from Whitesnake, Cher, Trans-Siberian Orchestra to play on the record, Dax Nielsen from Cheap Trick to come in there and do his magic, Daniel Benjamin Hill. I got some good players on this record. I even got a new artist that's out called Marquis. He used a former guitar player of Life, Sex, and Death before they actually came out, and I got him to play guitar on the track as well. So I spread the love around. These guys have spread it back. I think it's a nice, solid rock record more than anything. Pop, rock, a little bit of metal in there. I think it's a nice little mix-up. Not ununique to ENUFF Z'NUFF listeners. And that record comes out next year as well. So we'll see what happens there if we get a chance to take out the Perfectly Imperfect record and do some of them songs. But my focus of attention right now is this Beatle record, Hard Rock Night on Frontiers. That's the one that I'm really sinking my teeth into, and I plan on going out next year on a worldwide tour and playing a lot of those songs off that record, whether it's an ENUFF Z'NUFF show or we call it the Beatles Rock Show and go out and do it as that.
So how do you know? I write a couple of songs myself, just local, nothing big like you guys. But how do you know the song is a Enough's Enough song, or if it's going to be on your solo record? How do you
You're,
distinguish that?
you don't distinguish it. You just play it. You just write songs. Listen, songs are they're already been written, as John Lennon said a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's up to us as artists to find them and bring them down to you. I couldn't tell you. I just come up with tracks, and my biggest fear, I remember talking to Keith Richards one time, and he said, I told him, I go, we're a cross between like the Stones' Attitude and the Cheap Tricks music, and he says, don't blame me. It all comes from somewhere, to be honest with you. I don't know what's going to fit on what. My biggest fear is to run out of songs. I got to be honest with you. What do we have? 250, 300 songs on Spotify right now?
I saw that. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of material right there. So I just come up with songs and I put them out there, and if it seems to fit with the Enuff Z'Nuff moniker, that's great.
Yeah.
At the time Frontiers came to us, they said, we want to do an extended album deal with you guys instead of one record at a time. It was, I think, 3 or 4. I said, that's terrific. Love to do that. Our relationship seems to be pretty strong with that label. Mario and Sarfino and, of course, Nick Teeter have been great to the band, Eleonora. It's really a strong label that really supports hard rock and heavy metal. And that's all they do 365 days of the year. I think it was nice that they came to me and said they want to do a bunch of records. However, we're at a time right now where we just got off a tour with Faster Pussycat. We were out for 2 months with them. It's very difficult to navigate that when you're on a tour bus traveling around the country. So I'd hum and sing ideas into my phone, and then when I got off the tour, I went right into the studio immediately and started recording new songs. And some of them seemed to fit the solo record. I mean, if you listen to the new record, Perfectly Imperfect, some of those songs could fit in an Enuff Z'Nuff album. There's not a doubt, because why? Well, I'm the singer.
Yeah.
I'm playing on the records as well. But I tried to mix it up on this one, and the theme. What was thematic through the whole record was all these songs seemed to fit what was happening in today's day and age. And some records are autobiographical. Some of them are just about other people. On this record right here, it's just the world through my rose-colored glasses.
Yeah. Speaking of glasses, I love your style of your stage, everyday style with the hats and the glasses and the whole wardrobe, man. It's awesome. It's very cool.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, I get up every single day. Listen, I grew up listening to American Bandstand, and of course I watched, Don Kirshner's rock concert, and you can't go wrong with Wolfman Jack, the Midnight Special. Those were great shows back in the early days when I was a little kid. And they left an indelible mark with me, to be able to turn the TV on and see every week it would be, Alice Cooper or Queen or any of the big bands that are out there right now that left an indelible mark. It was really exciting. And one thing I loved about all those groups, especially across the pond, was they were colorful and they were flamboyant.
Yeah.
And I guess it just stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I sneaked through my mom and dad's closets and grabbed army jackets, and I grabbed their scarves and any hats and certain kinds of pairs of sunglasses. Aviators were back then. Now they're circular, like John Lennon shades. Billy Corgan actually calls them Chips and Up glasses, which I thought was very flattering. And I just love being colorful. But listen, when the fans come out to shows, that's what they want to see. They want theater. They want to play.
Yeah.
I don't think, maybe if we would have came out earlier, James, because the band's first record came out in '89, but maybe we came out in '87 or '88, and we wore jeans and T-shirts, perhaps we'd be big, bigger than we already are. But my personal thoughts are I wouldn't change one thing, because at the time when we came out, MTV was looking at bands that were like litter rock. They wanted flashy and colorful, and that's what we gave them. And here we are 30 years later, and we're still doing the same thing. I'm pretty proud of I admire our strut, not to sound immodest.
Yeah, for sure. So take us back to the beginning of your life, musical life, that is. How did you start in the music business? At what age did you pick up an instrument or start singing?
I was a little kid. I was 15 years old, and I started playing. I had a little band on the south side of Chicago where we rehearsed in Mom and Dad's basement. And it was a punk rock band. They were called D-Generation. It's the first D-Generation, not the one from New York. And from there, did some recordings and had a little action. We all jumped in. One day we were sitting in a Burger King parking lot. We said, you know what, we're not going to be able to move much farther from where we're at unless we get in the car and go. And we jumped in our vehicle, and that night we took off for Los Angeles. said goodbye to mom and dad, brother, sister, and took it on the road and started. Went to move to my aunt's house, my aunt Evelyn's house, God rest her soul. And she moved the whole band in there. We started rehearsing there, and her boyfriend, a guy named James Wolverton, started managing the band. And before you know it, like him and a guy named Bill Norvis, who used to work with Gene Martin and Joe Worley and Peter Marshall and all the old actors and actresses, he started managing the band. And we started playing shows in Vegas. We opened it up for Boss Gags, the Grateful Dead. Anybody we could play with, we would play with. And that's what started it all off for me right there. And I've been chasing this fucking carrot ever since.
Wow. You have a great career so far and a great, awesome catalog. So congrats on that, man. So you've had many guests on past albums, countless. That's badass for us fans, right? Is there anyone special you would like to invite on any of your future records, you know?
Well, sure, there's a lot of them. If you look at our catalog, getting a chance to work in the studio with the great Billy Corrigan, so I got to be honest with you, a super smart individual right there, and he's got a great sound. I love Rick Nielsen. I love J.Y. from Styx. Those were fabulous players. I worked with Steve Stevens. He's great as well. Mike Portnoy from Dreams Theater, who coincidentally is my cousin through my wife's side of the family.
Oh, cool.
There's some great guys that have played the record. If I could pick somebody new and fresh out, remember I played with Steven Adler for years in Guns N' Roses. I sound like I'm bragging right now, but you asked me a question on the players that I've worked with, and I'm certainly not shy about that. I'd like to do something with Slash one day. I'd love to get him to play on a record. I think he's the quintessential guitar player of our generation.
He's great, yeah.
He's charming beyond belief. I absolutely adore him. Love his book with Anthony Bozza. That's one artist that slipped through the cracks that I haven't got a chance to play with yet. But we'll see. There's so many musicians that are great out there, but off the top of my head, that's the first guy I can think about that. I'd love to get him a track and say, Slash, just do whatever you want, and I'll cut you in the publishing as well. Just play, give me a little lead guitar, and I'll put your name next to the song, and we're fine right there. Call it a day.
There you go, man. So you also produce bands, as I understand. You're a producer.
Yeah, I've been doing that for a long time, believe it or not.
Wow.
I just finished up a couple of different records. One's a new artist named Markishi. You can check them out, markishi.com.
Okay, cool.
Anybody that's interested in hearing some new music, and it's like a rock record, folk rock.
Yeah.
Wonderful artist, though. He's been out for a long time. He used to be the lead guitar player of a band called Life, Sex, and Death on Warner Brothers. And I think it's a fabulous record that he's put together over at Chicago Recording Company with me. And then I just finished up the new Midnight Devils record, which is a punk rock band out of Nebraska.
Wow. How do you find time to do all these things? You know, how do you manage that?
Very carefully. I in my house in Blue Island with my wife. She's writing books right now, and I'm making records.
Wow. My respects, man. That's just awesome. A complete musician. Literally, just a musician, complete musician.
That's all I do for a living. I mean,
wow.
You would think about it, there's not a lot of cats out there that continue to do what I do.
Right.
Financially, the business has changed. We all know that. Where everything is streaming right now, Spotify, Deezer, iTunes, Apple Music, etc. So in the old days, it was you make a record, and then the record company would put it out there, and then you'd get in a van or a Oscar Mayer Wiener wagon, or perhaps a tour bus if you were lucky enough, and you go out and tour and play different towns and push that record, and you would sell units, and you had MTV back then helping bands. They were very important to everybody's early existence, all the bands. Without MTV, it's much different, but then now there's the internet, so you can get on different social media, and at the press of a button, millions of people can see what you're doing. So in that way, it's good, but then again, downside of it is we're in a time right now where there's too much product, not enough demand. So you got to find ways to reach people besides your videos on
YouTube.
YouTube and Vivo.
Yeah.
I think you got to take the old-fashioned way. To quote Irving Azoff, you make a record and you go out and you tour and support it, and that's what we need to do. All the bands need to do that, and they all do it as well. The older bands and the newer bands. You try to consolidate. Maybe you can get on a tour with a band that's a little bit bigger than you, and go out there and play. And obviously, the numbers that you're trying to make to stay alive on the road are going to be tough, but. The good thing is, in the old days, you couldn't sell merchandise at the shows outside of T-shirts and hats. Yeah. Nowadays, I see all the bands selling their vinyl and CDs, along with anything else they can they can push, plus meet and greets they have nowadays too as well, so you can get a chance to meet the groups. I remember in the old days, James, I'd go to see bands play, like for instance Queen, and we'd sit out in the alleyway at the end of the show just to wait to see the band walk by us, just so they, maybe say hello to us and wave to us, and we were happy with that. And it was free, obviously. There was no meet and greets back then. Nobody was doing it because no one anticipated that. And there was something to be said about bands that were not so easy to be accessible. So nowadays, you can just jump on social media and see, Kiss is playing, great, and we can go do a meet and greet, $2,500. I can go meet the guys and say hello to them, maybe get an autograph, perhaps buy an instrument off them, guitars, straps, whatever they have that would trip your trigger. It's a different day and age right now, my friend. It's much more open-minded, but it's quite expensive as well.
Yeah.
We don't do meet and greets ourselves.
Yeah.
But we do a thing called soundcheck experience where fans can come on, and it's not very expensive at all. And you can come out to see the show, and you come in for soundcheck. We play 2 or 3 songs for you. We take some pictures. You can get some merchandise. I think that's the way to go, to be nice to everybody, because without the fans, there is no bands out there. And we're very appreciative of what all the fans bring to the party every single night. If it wasn't for the fans, like I said, we wouldn't be out here doing what we do. So, people who've just been making records in their houses and putting them out on social media and seeing if anything sticks.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough to have fans out there that love your music, love your style, what you're trying to do, and they'll support you, it's a great thing. So the meet and greet thing is great for the big bands that want to do that, because it's certainly challenging for them to play shows and then every day meeting all the people out there and trying to find a way where everybody's happy. I think the soundcheck experience is the wave of the future. Go see your favorite band. For a pittance of what it would cost to go do a meet and greet, you can actually see the band play a few songs for you, and then after that, they'll come out and shake your hand, take a picture, maybe sell a little bit of merchandise. That, to me, shows a lot of love from the bands back to the fans. And of course, we play the show at nighttime, which is the extra cherry on top of that delicious Sunday.
Yeah, I saw you guys here in Texas with Faster Pussycat here in I don't know if you remember Eagle Pass, Texas.
Eagle Pass, Texas, I know it's right across the border. As a matter of fact, I walked around that town, did some window shopping. I bought some sunglass cases for Tony Fennell, and I got my guitar player, Tori Stockfragan, a little pin that said Benny on it. It's the name of his dog, and I was going around grabbing little knickknacks and gifts all through town, and everybody was stopping me. They loved me. They love the band out there. They're starving for hard rock and heavy metal over in Eagle Pass, Texas.
Cooters,
the older guy, it was a place called Cooters, and the guy's name was Will.
Yeah,
who ran the place. He's a big rock fan. He has all the big national acts come into town and play there. And one of the highlights of that of the whole tour was playing out in Texas, to be honest with you. I remember we played this one venue, and the fans were coming out, and they were giving me all these edibles and Coca-Cola that had THC in it, and all these different medicines that I normally don't deal with, but it was a nice gift, a nice gesture. And then I was going to Eagle Pass, Texas, and I was going through all the law enforcement that was flying by because of the borders out there.
Yeah.
And I was so paranoid, so I ended up stopping at a gas station, and the guy said, "Yeah, man, this is the place you're going to drop it all off, yeah, Chip." I said, "You're absolutely right. I just can't be driving with this. I don't want any problems."
Yeah.
Really wonderful gifts, and thousands of dollars and different THC products, creams and ointments and all this stuff that the fans were giving me. It was ridiculous. I wish I could have kept it all. And I ended up dropping it off over at a gas station, left everything right there. So somebody won the lottery.
Wow.
Somebody in Eagle Pass, Texas is loving me right now, okay? I made somebody's day, that's for sure.
For sure, right?
And then, of course, we didn't get stopped. In fact, the cops out there were so cool. They loved the band.
Yeah.
They love the music. They know about us from being on Sirius XM or on Dash Radio. So we got substantial airplay in Texas in the early days as well because of Howard Stern. It was a great place to go to and play, and it's a small little venue.
Yeah.
But when I heard all the bands that were playing there, I was pleasantly surprised to be a part of that company.
Yeah. You got a lot of fans here, yeah. So let's talk to us about your radio show. I know you're on Dash, right? Dash Radio?
Yep. Dash Radio 6 days a week I'm on. Rudy Sarzo from Quiet Riot's got his own program on there as well. Rudy used to play bass with Ozzy Osbourne as well as Whitesnake. So he's got his own show on there. Harlan Hendrickson, who's the program director there, he's got his own show. Claudia Comedy, she's on there as well. And Carrie Stevens, the old Playboy playmate from the Hugh Hefner days, she's got her own show. Dead Daisies are on there. I know Sammy Hager's got a show that's on there right now.
Awesome.
There's a lot of cats that are on there, but I'm on 6 days a week. I'm your guy from 10 o'clock in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, and it's real easy for everybody to get. It's a new satellite radio, folks. It's not like, it's just like Sirius, except it's free.
Wow.
Sirius, wonderful station. Those are my friends. I love Howard Stern. He's always been great to me. I actually was going to go over there, and I was told by their constituents, wait until Howard has his own show, his own network, and then you come over here. We want you for sure. In the meantime, I said, well, I'm going to go over to Dash Radio. I think they got something really nice and unique, which is 24/7, 365 days a year. They play nothing but the finest hard rock and heavy metal. We have a playlist of over 80,000 songs to pick from, so it's not like your terrestrial radio stations where you play your 20 songs a day and it's over and over, wash, rinse, repeat.
Repeat.
This is A through Z, the whole alphabet of hard rock and heavy metal. So you get Hocus Pocus by Focus, but then I might go over and I might play something from the early Led Zeppelin days, Queen, Mott the Hoople, Cheap Trick, and then the new stuff is in there. Greta Van Fleet's, the Rival Sons, the Vintage Troubles, the Dirty Honeys, they're all in there.
Wow.
And that's the great thing about our station. It's wide open for interpretation. There's so many bands that are on there. The fans love it beyond belief. It's old and new mixed together perfectly. It's a great potpourri of rock and roll and heavy metal that I'm glad to be a part of. And to be on there 6 days a week I tell you, I'm very shocked that I'm sure they could have got anybody to do this program, but they like a guy that knows about his music, and I'm a historian.
Exactly, yeah.
I love all the bands that are out there. There's something to be said for anybody that's made records throughout their career. Even if they're not making them anymore, I still want to give them some love and give them some airplay every day, because it's a unique situation when you can play everything without having handcuffs on. And that's what we do. We're the elephant in the room when it comes to radio out now. Right now, I got to be honest with you. I just looked at our numbers. Probably have about 900,000 people a day listening to our station.
Wow, that's awesome. So there you go. For those of you listening, check out Chip on Dash Radio. And
James, it's real simple too. You just got to go to dashradio.com. You download the app. It's free.
Yeah.
And then Kylie Jenner has her own show on there from the Kardashians.
Really?
Snoop Dogg's on the program too, along with Be Real from Cypress Hill. You can get those shows if you want to. I think we're on channel 502, the Monsters of Rock. And once you put it on there, you won't change the channel.
Nice. So speaking of bands, who would you say is going to carry the torch, the rock and roll torch, if you will, after ENUFF Z'NUFF is gone, Motley Crue is gone, and GNR, and so on? After those bands are gone, who do you think is going to carry that torch,
It's too hard to tell, because you don't know what the average life expectancy of any of these bands are going to be. So I don't have a crystal ball to tell you. I will be honest and say that some of the bands that are stirring some commotion and they're young enough to where they could carry the flag would be like a Greta Van Fleet or a Dirty Honey. Those are strong bands.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But we don't. I couldn't pick and tell you and give you an honest answer, because I don't know who it's going to be. Who knew Guns N' Roses would still be fucking playing right now, this day and age? Those guys are kicking ass beyond belief right now.
Right, yeah.
When they were together, they were in their early 20s when they were making those records, especially Appetite for Destruction. It's too hard a question to answer.
Yeah.
So I just look at what's happening out there, because let's face it, a lot of the bands that we've grown up to love, they're not going to be around in the next 5 years. It's just, nobody wants to see 80-year-old guys playing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I do. I mean, the Stones are still doing it, but that's an exception right there.
Yeah.
Most of the bands, when they're in their 40s and 50s, they're retired and out of the business. ENUFF Z'NUFF is one of the last of the Mohicans out there right now. Just still be making records, and cohesive records, and still touring every single day around the country. That is a miracle, okay? And I got to thank the good Lord from above. Who else are there to thank? For sure, right? That, and of course the fans out there that have taken notice and paid attention to us through the years, and we're a band that's for the fans. I think they love that we still continue to make records and tour around the country. But there will be a change in the guard in the next 4 or 5 years. You'll see it. All the people will see it, and I'm hoping that the newer bands out there, Rival Sons, another great band out there. Hope those guys can carry the flag for a little while for all of us, because That's going to be very important. The great thing about music, though, is it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And some of these songs are timeless. Isn't it funny? Here we are talking 50 years later. Zeppelin's still in the playlist on every radio station around the country. Queen, sold 200 million records. They're still getting played everywhere. So the music's not going to go away. The bands won't be around, but the music will still be there, and you'll still get the videos, and those songs are timeless.
It's so cool. I first saw you on MTV, let's say 89, Fly High Michelle, and those songs. And to see you guys still active, and touring, you guys, Faster Pussycat, different bands out there. It's so cool for us older fans, I guess, huh? To see you guys are still out there, just like you said, it's so cool. Thank you for doing it,
Thank you, James. Listen, I'm a fan before I'm a musician. I mean, I love the bands, too, that are out there playing. I go see all the groups, whether it's, the big ones like the Rolling Stones and Guns N' Roses, or the smaller ones like the Black Crowes and Dirty Honey, the new that just finished a tour together, and that's why I brought them up. A wonderful tour, by the way. I try to see everybody out there. One of the things I love about going out and playing shows everywhere is, it's always wide open wherever we go. One day we're playing at the M3 Festival, which is something they have every single year in Baltimore, and it's 15, 20 bands, a 3-day event. Or maybe the Monster Rock Cruise with Larry Moran, who just so happens to have a Rolodex of, the finest 30 or 40 bands he picks from and puts them out on tour every single year. And it's really the A through Z, once again, of the alphabet when it comes to hard rock and heavy metal shows. The festivals are great. Of course, we got Coachella and Lollapalooza, but I got to be honest with you, go see a band at a smaller venue. Go see Stone Temple Pilots who are playing the Vic Theater for 2,000 to 3,000 people. That's pretty special. Get up close to the band and be able to watch them and react to their music. It really just brings a smile on my face, because will it be like that in the future, or we're going to have holograms for every fucking band that's out there?
Right.
I don't know what we don't know what to expect out there. Plus, a lot of the new stuff that you're hearing right nowadays, it's pretty much a potpourri of guys backstage and synthesizers and sequencers and tons of tracks and tapes, which is fine and dandy, but I think people want to see live music. They want to see the band playing and singing. Even if there's a little bit of technology, that's okay. It's more about seeing the band live in concert and watching them play. And that's one of the things I hope we don't miss in the future, because technology is going to take over a lot of stuff, and it won't really matter to some people. They're just going to want to go out and see a show.
That's so cool. Would you like to send a message to your fans listening to this podcast?
Yeah, to all the fans out there. Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to all our first responders, the people on the front lines, our nurses, our doctors, our military, all the surgeons out there, the police, our firemen. Those are very important people that have kept things going for us moving forward in this country. And without them, we're totally indebted to everything they've done for us during these tough times that we've been trying to deal with and navigate, unprecedented times. So that's my first shout out. And my second one is to the fans out there. Continue to support not just Enuff's Enough, but all the bands that are out there. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Grab onto your favorite bands, whatever trips your trigger. Support them, because you don't know how long they're going to be out there, folks. And last but not least, I wish all the fans out there that love music a long life. I hope you all live to be 100 years old. May your last voice you hear be mine.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. Thank you, Chip. I appreciate that. And we're looking forward to listening to ENUFF Z'NUFF'S Hard Rock Night and all your projects. So good luck on all that, man. Appreciate that.
Thanks, James. God bless you and your family as well. Don't forget, dashradio.com. Download the app. Check me out on the Monsters of Rock channel 502. I'm on 6 days a week. I wish you all well. See you on tour next year, buddy. Great new stuff happening, by the way. It'll be a master tour that's being put together right now. It's absolutely one of the biggest things I've ever done. I'll be announcing that in the next couple of months. 4 bands, huge bill, not very unlike what you've seen in the past with all the rock bands and all the stuff that you've been watching as far as touring goes.
Very cool.
This is going to be a real, a crazy, like back to the 80s revival, and I think
awesome.
Fans will be pleasantly surprised. 4 bands, I'll be announcing it in a couple of months. In the meantime, wishing everybody happy holidays.
Likewise, Chip, thank you, and thanks for making time.
Okay, James, be safe, buddy.
Pick it up, stream it, download it. ENUFF Z'NUFF'S Hard Rock Night, the latest effort and release by ENUFF Z'NUFF. This is on Frontiers Music, Frontiers Records, if you will. 10 badass tracks. You have to check this stuff, especially if you're a Beatles fanatic, McCartney, Lennon. You know, you got to check this out, man. So congrats to Chip and all the boys for the great job, the great versions here. That as Chip said, you know, they are not McCartney, they're not Lennon, and their McCartney's and Lennon's voices are not there, but the music is awesome. It is an awesome, as a musician, they did a great job of giving it justice and re-recording Beatles stuff. This is the first full-length Beatle covers album that I know of. Of course, everybody has covered different songs at different points in time, but this is the very first one. Anyway, so check it out, man. The album by the name of ENUFF Z'NUFF'S Hard Rock Night. And don't forget to keep it metal.